Good morning, gang. Today we're going to disembark on a little bit of a disinterring old procrastination projects. We all have them. There's the thing that you spent $1,200 on material for and it's still sitting in a pile somewhere over there. My version of that is I've got this stack of mahogany that's been sitting here waiting for me to make a door out of it. The commission that just has never come to fruition for me. I can say, oh, I had a baby, I had to move my workshop, a lot of things have been happening and all of this is true, but then at some point you have to finish this project or just admit that it's never going to happen. We're going to do a little step by step and pull this out of the dust. And something that I've noticed, one of the reasons you kind of put the thing aside is because you hit some sort of sticking point, some sort of moment where you made a mistake or hit a discouragement, hit some manner of a wall, and you're like, I'm gonna let Tomorrow Cat deal with that problem. And then Tomorrow Cat just never shows up. And so Today Cat is going to disinter that problem. You've left the project at a not very yummy point. There's like something wrong or there's something discouraging and it makes it that much harder to kind of like launch back into it. As with every mistake that we make with woodworking, there's always a solution. There's always, and in many ways, sometimes these are the reasons we love doing woodwork, is because it's problem solving and it's like, ooh, I wasn't supposed to do that. Okay, how do we make this better? I did the age-old mistake of cutting pieces to length of their final dimension, not accounting for the tenons. What this means is that I'm going to be mortising both sides and creating floating tenons. There's no structural issue for the piece that I'm making. This doesn't make it weaker or inferior or anything like that. There's lots of people who do this type of work with floating tenons anyways on purpose. So it's just that little ego trip, that little like thing in your head that's like, ah, you screwed it up. So let's just never do woodworking again. Yeah, if we all stepped away from woodworking the moment that we made a mistake and just never touched it again, well, none of us would be woodworkers, would we? Every single project has some little oopsie in there. And these little bits of chaos are part of what makes handmade and individually customized pieces so interesting, is because there's that little bit of chaos that the hand of the master. So there's gonna be a little time warp here where you're gonna rewind with me in time to a different workshop. Definitely a different condition in my own state. I kind of look like one of the 7 dwarves, or at least like one of the 7 dwarves ate me, or I ate a dwarf. We're digging out the pieces that have been left in the past and we're going to bring them forward into the light of the future. So I figured I'd give you the little update. Here's one of the little updates.
So this is the precious material in question, and while I waddle around in front of the camera, I'm going to explain to you a little bit of these initial layout steps that I'm going through. So you want to make sure that you take into account in your cut list the full lengths of all the pieces that you're going to need, and that then you lay out all of those pieces on the material that you have available. So as you see, I've got everything written out in chalk on the full lengths, which pieces are coming from where. There can be a temptation to just start at one end of the board and begin cutting, but you're going to find that you're going to end up wasting material because you'll end up with a piece at the end that's not long enough to do what you want. And B, you're going to have grain that's not lining up where you would like it to. So there's some pieces that you're going to be more or less particular about how the grain looks. So you want to make sure that you kind of prioritize those pieces, figure out how you can fit everything else around them, and then cut accordingly. And then when you're putting things through the jointer, you've got shorter lengths, and so you'll end up wasting less material. Yet another disadvantage of procrastinating on doing these projects is that you end up losing footage. So we've skipped here one pass through the jointer and one pass through the planer. So because I'm working with rough lumber, the first thing that I would have done is that one of the flat faces of each of these boards will have gone across the jointer first. And this gives me that reference surface so that all of the rest of these cuts are happening in reference to that one true face. So once I have that one true face, then I run the board through the planer with the jointed face on the planer bed, and that means that I've got two parallel faces. And then we get to this part where I'm choosing one of the edges. So that's why you see me kind of back and forth examining either side and looking at the grain direction, and also looking at the quality of the material that's closest to the edge. So whichever edge has the nicest grain next to it, then that's the edge that I'm going to run through the jointer, because the other side is going to have the most wastage cut off of it by the table saw. So just to clarify, we're putting the face that originally went across the jointer, so our reference face, that's now going against the fence, and we're creating a really nice clean 90 degree on that edge, and then marking it so that we always remember where that is. And the way that I do my markings, it's very simple. It's just a little pencil line that leads sort of from the middle of the board over the edge that is the perfect angle. So essentially you'll have a little line that runs over the edge of one side and over the edge that meets it from the other side, and that way you know that that angle is the really good one. So we're getting towards the end of where I got the project to last year. And so now it's time to fast forward to the current day as I'm trying to resurrect this project and get the pieces all put back together. So let's zoom over to the new workshop and see where we're at. So this workshop isn't that big, and I know that I got ash for this project, and all of my wood supply is stacked up here, but I couldn't find it. So I'm like, okay, these are just 2x4 structural material. This is white pine. There's a bunch of maple up here. There's scraps of stuff over there, but it's that stuff is also pine. There's the ends of the mahogany here are the stiles for the door. There's scraps of apple wood that I've cut down. I can't find the ash. And then way up in here at the back, there's a couple pieces of ash. Okay, so they have been discovered. I just need to climb to get them. Okay, so that was a little bit all over the place, but we're now up to the present day, and the videos going forward are going to be the next steps with this project. So I hope that me disinterring my own commission that never came to fruition
has helped to maybe inspire you to get out your own project that has been lying in dust. As always, huge thank you to my Patreon patrons. I really appreciate the support. And if you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, it's over at patreon.com/catthink. Also, you may be interested that I've started to release ASMR videos just of the handwork that I'm doing. So when I'm sanding by hand or chiseling by hand, for some people this is really relaxing, just having the sounds and watching a nice sharp chisel cut through wood. For me, it's one of my favorite parts of woodworking. So those videos are specifically labeled ASMR, and you can check them out if you're interested. I'd love if you wanted to share with me your project that needs to be disinterred, and I hope that maybe me showing my own little thing that I'm digging out of the backwoods might inspire you to get your project out and get it fired up again too. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really appreciate it, and hit the like button and subscribe. See you next time.